Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to dive into a question that has fascinated thinkers, philosophers, and seekers for centuries. Where does true knowledge actually begin? We spend years in school, read countless books, and now, with the internet, we have a universe of information at our fingertips. But is information the same as knowledge? And is knowledge the same as wisdom? There's a profound verse in the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 7, that offers a starting point. And it might not be what you expect. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction." Now, when we hear the word fear, our minds might jump to being scared of something, like a horror movie or a spider. But the fear of the Lord mentioned here is something entirely different. It's not about trembling in terror. It's about a deep, profound sense of awe, reverence, and respect. Imagine standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon, or looking up at a sky full of stars on a perfectly clear night. You feel small, but in a good way. You're humbled by the sheer scale, beauty, and complexity of it all. That feeling of awe is a lot closer to what the fear of the Lord means. It's recognizing that there is a creator, a divine intelligence behind the universe, who is infinitely greater, wiser, and more powerful than we are. It is about acknowledging our place in the grand scheme of things, not as the center of the universe, but as part of an intricate and purposeful design. So, why is this feeling of awe the beginning of knowledge? Think about it. When you have this perspective, it changes everything about how you learn. A person who believes they already know it all, or that they are the ultimate authority, has a closed mind. They aren't open to new ideas, correction, or deeper truths. Their ego becomes a barrier to genuine learning. But when you start with reverence for God, you start with humility. You acknowledge that you don't have all the answers. This humility opens your mind and heart to receive knowledge. It makes you teachable. You're no longer just collecting facts to win arguments or to feel smart. Instead, you're seeking to understand the world as it truly is, as designed by its creator. This kind of knowledge isn't just about science, history, or mathematics. Although it includes all of those, it's a holistic knowledge. When you study the laws of physics, you're not just looking at equations. You're marveling at the consistent, orderly principles that govern the universe. When you study biology, you're not just memorizing parts of a cell. You're in awe of the complexity of life itself. Every field of study becomes an opportunity to see the handiwork of the designer. The world is no longer a random collection of matter. It's a creation filled with meaning and purpose. This perspective gives context to all the facts we learn. It's the frame that makes the picture make sense. Now let us look at the second half of that verse. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. This provides a stark contrast. Who is a fool in this context? It's not about someone's IQ or academic credentials. A person can have multiple PhDs and still be a fool in the biblical sense. A fool is someone who rejects this foundational starting point. They despise wisdom and instruction because it challenges their own sense of self-importance. They don't want to be told what to do or how to think. They want to be their own God, the master of their own universe. When someone despises instruction, they close themselves off from growth. They might be very intelligent, but their intelligence is directed by their own pride. They might accumulate a lot of information, but they lack the wisdom to apply it correctly. Wisdom is knowledge applied with understanding and discernment. It's knowing not just what is true, but how to live in light of that truth. The fool rejects the very source of wisdom, so they are left stumbling in the dark, guided only by their own limited and often flawed desires. They might build an impressive life on the surface, but it's built on a foundation of sand, because it's missing the one thing that gives it stability and ultimate meaning. Think about the most brilliant people you can imagine. If their brilliance leads them to arrogance, to a belief that they are the ultimate measure of all things, where does that path ultimately lead? Often, it leads to a sense of emptiness or despair, because a world without a higher purpose can feel meaningless. They might gain the whole world of information but lose the soul of knowledge, which is wisdom. True knowledge, then, begins with a posture of humility and awe before God. It's an attitude that says, I am ready to learn. I am open to being corrected. I want to understand the world not just on my own terms, but on the terms of the one who made it. This attitude transforms the learning process from a prideful pursuit into a humble pilgrimage. Every fact we learn becomes a clue, pointing us back to the Creator. Every challenge we face becomes an opportunity to seek His wisdom. So, what does this look like in our daily lives? It means when you wake up in the morning, you can start your day with a sense of gratitude and wonder. It means when you go to work or school, you see your tasks not just as chores, but as opportunities to use your mind to explore and appreciate God's creation. When you interact with people, you do so with humility, recognizing that you don't have all the answers and that you can learn from others. When you make a mistake, you're not crushed by it, because your identity isn't based on being perfect. Instead, you can accept correction and learn from it. This path of knowledge is a lifelong journey. It doesn't mean you'll have all the answers overnight. In fact, the more you learn with this attitude of reverence, the more you realize how much you don't know. And that's a beautiful thing. It keeps you curious, it keeps you seeking, and it keeps you connected to the infinite source of all wisdom. It's a path that leads not just to a bigger brain, but to a better life of purpose, meaning, and a deep, abiding joy that isn't shaken by circumstances. In a world that often celebrates arrogance and self-sufficiency, this ancient wisdom is more countercultural and relevant than ever. It invites us to a different way of thinking and living. It invites us to start our quest for knowledge, not by looking in the mirror, but by looking up at the heavens and acknowledging the one who put the stars in place. Because when we do that, we find our proper place. And from that humble, awe-filled starting point, the adventure of true knowledge can finally begin. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this gave you something to think about. If you found this helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more content like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care.